All right, back here on In the Marbles. If you're joining us on the Unhinged Sports Network, welcome. Excited about that Fanatics partnership that we have here. And if you're joining us on your regular podcast platform, welcome back as well.
Yeah.
And we're appreciative of you and can't wait till 2021. But in the meantime, Formula One's still going on. And what a Bahrainian Grand Prix. And I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell everybody straight up and all the fans straight up. It was only interesting for the first 3 laps for me.
Okay.
After that, it was status quo for Formula One. And I think everybody would agree with me.
Right.
But here's what happened. You texted me at work. I was at work. I actually was on a call.
Oh.
And, coming back from the call, and you just texted 3 words. Oh, my God, in all caps.
Yep.
And I said, if it's about the race, don't tell me.
Oh, man, I was just like, I didn't even know what to say to that after that. I was just like, oh, man, I really want to tell him, but I guess I'll just wait. All right, fine.
I ended up finding out on social media that there was a bad crash. Romain Grosjean, as we all know, was involved in a very scary accident there on lap 1, turn 3 of the Bahrainian Grand Prix. And we're just going to say right now, we said it at the start of Daytona Escapades. Thank God we're not doing a tribute show. Because that was another close one.
Well, watching it when I turn the race on like I do when I can every Sunday when they are, and I'll watch Formula One Grand Prix Sunday, and then leading up to Lights Out, and I'm watching it, and I mean, like it was kind of like every other normal start. I mean, first of all, I was excited that it was a night race.
Yeah, night races
I love
are fun.
night racing in general. Just it doesn't matter what kind of race it is. It looked like it was as usual, and then everybody got through the first turn, and cars were going off track in here and there, and I was just like, okay, now things are getting interesting. And then the camera shot is looking straight down the straightaway, coming up the hill, around turn 3.
Yeah,
and you see, I can't remember who it was, but if you're looking at it from the right of the screen, I can't remember who went off track.
Raikkonen.
It was Raikkonen. So, because I remember them saying Stroll went off track as well, because he did.
He did.
So Raikkonen was off track, and he was coming back on, and then you see it. This quick shot coming across the track all the way at the end, and it's Grosjean, and I mean just like he was there and then he wasn't, and then it was just this fireball, and like watching it in live time, and I was just like I even mouthed the words out loud. I was just like, oh my God. And they didn't cut back to it for like 5 minutes, as it seemed like. I mean, it seemed like an eternity when you're watching on TV, but they didn't cut back to it, and I was just like, I think I just watched this guy die, and I don't even know. I mean, it was when you I've told people before, when you watch it in live action at that time in real motion, I mean, like you thought that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, he hit the wall a ton. It was tweeted out. His speed was 137 miles an hour, and he was 53 Gs when he hit that wall.
53 Gs. Can you imagine 53 Gs? I mean, for a little hip pocket science class, we're all experiencing 1 G of gravity.
Yeah.
Your average roller coaster is about 7 Gs.
Yeah, for a couple of seconds.
For a couple of milliseconds at the most. 53 Gs.
Yeah.
During the time of impact, it's crazy. Going 140 miles an hour, we'll just round up. I know that wasn't the exact speed. 140 miles an hour, which isn't fast in Formula One standards.
No.
But, man, I mean, I was fortunate enough. I didn't see it live, like I said. I already knew Grosjean was okay after that wreck. So it wasn't like you, but I can only imagine, because I went back and watched the race live, or the replay of the race, and it showed it, and you know it's coming, and you see it, and then when they like you said, when they don't cut back to it, at the time, they don't want to show the body,
Right.
That's exactly what they don't want to show a potential, that individual, which you can understand, like ESPN's mindset is like, we're not going to show the crash, and then you get the close up of Roman in the medical car, and you're like, oh, okay, he's fine.
He looks okay.
But my goodness, man, I mean, that was the craziest Formula One crash I have seen in a long time. I've never seen a car break apart like that in Formula One.
Yeah, of course, we'll get more into it when we get there, but I mean, just to add to it real quick, those cars I found out last night that those cars are actually designed to do that, to break apart in a heavy crash like that.
But are they designed to, I know if they're designed to break apart like that, you would think there would be measures in place in order to take care of the fuel cell. Because
Yes.
that was the problem. When the car ripped in half, all of a sudden the cockpit and the cockpit, I don't think the back of the car was, the back of the car was on fire too, but the cockpit itself was on fire.
Well, there was talk of maybe some pickup lines that were holding because
That was a lot of fire for pickup lines.
well, somebody had said that it does seem like a lot of fire, but if the entire fuel tank were to catch on fire, it would have been a much bigger explosion and fire than that. So I found out that they do not have any kind of fuel lines, anything running through the actual cockpit of the car as a safety measure.
Right.
Formula One has taken a lot of safety measures that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, and the cockpit itself was remarkably intact.
Yes, so I found out the term for the cockpit for this, it's called a safety cell, in quotations. It's called a monocoque.
Yeah, monocoque.
Yeah, and I never knew that. I never knew about that. So whatever fans saw, whether it was Facebook, Twitter, anywhere on social media, when you see what's left of the car inside that, well, I guess we could call it a barrier.
A cocoon.
Yeah, so whatever you see inside the barrier, that is what's the safety cell itself. That's what's left.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
Virtually indestructible. And, I mean, in between that and, as you brought it up before the show, the Halo system, I mean, even if with that safety cell, or we call it cocoon, whatever, if there's no halo there, I mean,
Roman's dead.
He's got to be dead.
Now,
wow.
Now, I look at it like this. Formula One just dodged a big bullet.
Mm-hmm.
This is their chance to have a mulligan. Because here's what I saw. I saw a car penetrate a barrier, a guardrail, because I don't know why in this day and age, in any type of motorsports, why there would be guardrails protecting the racetrack from parts of the track people don't want cars to go to.
Mm-hmm.
In this day and age, you cannot, whether it's Formula One, NASCAR, Indy, IMSA, short tracks, dirt tracks, I don't care, put insert racing league here. You cannot and should not, and shame on you if you do, have any type of aluminum guard barriers that can cause a car to penetrate and have the cockpit itself be penetrated by anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. Cost might be an issue. Regulations at that track might be an issue, but the FIA knows better.
Yeah.
The FIA knows better, and this is their chance to say, we need to take that up. Because they're racing there, next weekend?
Yes.
If I was the FIA, today, Monday, that we're doing the recording, in fact, after the race ended, I would have gone around and started picking up those and replacing them with some type of soft wall where it deflects the car out.
Yeah,
that causes its own problems. Because
right.
if, say, Hamilton wrecked and it bounced back on the track, well, now you got cars coming 140, 50 miles an hour at him, and then you got potential for a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Romain Grosjean was stuck in there, it would only take a matter of, I'd dare say, centimeters in order for him to be stuck in there, not for the 20 seconds he was, but he can't get out.
Yeah, so...
And he's on fire.
Right.
And that blows me away. And this is Formula One's chance to, call a mulligan, because that shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that was kind of a big takeaway from the accident right there.
Well, they during the broadcast they had talked about, they were talking about how that part of the track, the barrier had. They were saying it almost looks like it juts out kind of like a 30-degree angle, but because right there's an access road to get onto the track for safety personnel, those volunteers that are there, which. I mean, it's not funny, but it's kind of weird how, like, this weekend they were thanking heroes, talking about the volunteers at the track and things like that, safety personnel. And, I mean, he wrecked close to safety personnel that were standing off track over there.
Yeah, that could have very easily been hit. But,
yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of the risk you take as a marshal there at any type of racetrack.
So, but what I'm kind of thinking is, with that access road that comes onto the track right there for, if they got to go pick up another car or something, lift it, take it off the track. If that, so let me put it hypothetically. If that wall is not jutted out 30 degrees right there, and let's say it's just back in its place where it's supposed to be, do you think Grosjean picks up even more speed before he gets to it?
That's tough to say because, I mean, it isn't like it's grass, so it isn't like he's sliding.
Right.
Like we've seen in NASCAR. I've seen in NASCAR crashes.
Or does he get the chance to maybe overcorrect? Maybe instead of going into the wall almost head on because of the angle that the wall was jutting out, but say if he's able to somehow turn the car to the left so he just runs it to it sideways.
Oh, I mean, the way I see it, if he ran into the wall sideways, it would have been much the same. I mean, that guardrail is going to split, and the cockpit and the whole car itself is going to penetrate that area. It's not the car or the angle, in my opinion. It's the material of the wall that was called into question for me, because you go cheap on these safety innovations in the walls like that.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that during the broadcast, they had talked about, because in those barriers, I can't remember, they said, I mean, there's only about this much width in between. You have I think it's like a stack of 4 almost. I mean,
it looks like a stack
and
of 4.
so they were talking about what if the angle of the car, what if the wing had gone in between it just enough to separate it? Because, I mean, if you're talking about an actual wall itself, it's not going to happen.
If something hits the wall, regardless of what the distance is between the guardrail, with enough force, it's not going to care. The force is going to cause it to buckle, and the energy is going to displace the thing. It doesn't matter if you're going 20 miles an hour. It's going to find a way in.
Right.
Grosjean was going 130 plus miles an hour into that wall, and that caused the car to bifurcate, which is designed to, but then it got stuck in there, which if the halo system wasn't there, I mean, we're talking, this guy's done on arrival,
Yeah, he probably would have hit his head somehow, even though they sit low.
If maybe, because we saw the same thing in Japan. Who was it?
2014?
Yeah.
Jules, was it Jules Bianchi?
I think it was Jules Bianchi, where he went under the tractor.
Yeah.
They didn't have a halo system there, and I don't think if that would have saved his life or not, I don't know. But the halo system did its job and deflected that. But what if the guardrail, I mean, we could play, this is kind of a hypothetical episode.
Right.
What if, the guardrail was spin at such a point where Roman tried to get out and the guardrail was impeding his exit from the car?
I mean, looking at pictures, it almost kind of looked like that, because the cell itself, the monocoque, the cocoon, whatever you want to call it, was kind of at an angle sideways anyways. Yeah. And I don't know what took him so long to get out. Was there something impeding him at the time? Who knows?
Well, the fact that he got out in such the way that he did amazes me. I know these drivers go through exit drills, but it's under such a controlled circumstance. They don't wedge him in there.
Yeah, okay,
get out, and you have 10 seconds to unhook and get out. Roman was on fire. He just got in a very serious accident.
Right.
He was probably dazed. And then once he kind of realized what was going on, I got to get out of here.
And I heard that the steering wheel had already broken off. So that was one thing that he didn't have to remove right away. Steering wheel was already broken off. So all he needed to do was undo his restraint system. But you're talking, his visor was melted.
Well, yeah, you're talking thousands of degrees of racing fuel being on fire. And you're on fire. And I tell you, the uniform did its job.
Yeah, those are supposed to hold up between 600 to 800 degrees Celsius for, I think it was about 10 seconds, which equates in Fahrenheit would be about 1100 to 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's supposed to do its job for about 10 seconds.
Which you and I both know, when at 1200 degrees, rooms flash.
Yes.
And which means every piece of matter in that room catches on fire. And I couldn't tell you, and I'm sure we'll get the numbers here later, probably with our luck after we're done recording this episode and it comes out, and we'll talk about it next week, of how hot that fire was estimated to be. Man, I mean, it just blows me away. Like, in this day and age, and I'm going back to the guardrail, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen. He was going to hit the wall regardless if he corrected or whatever. It didn't matter what angle. It's the guardrail that's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even tire barriers, I'd dare say throw tires up there.
Yeah.
And take care of that. At least absorb the impact.
Right, because the way the barrier...
thank God the barrier gave, and that way at least depleted some energy on that. But he didn't just, hit and then keep going. He hit and stopped.
Yeah, the car,
got stuck in there.
I said before, the car's designed to break in half in a case like that.
But NASCAR went through the same thing, and you saw 3 before February where the wall they hit a concrete wall going 180 miles an hour, and you're done on impact. It's the equivalent of what he just went through. Instead of hitting a concrete wall, he hit a barrier that caught him in a sense and stopped him right there. He went a little bit through, but not crazy through. He didn't go completely through.
Yeah.
But he didn't just bounce off and like a safer barrier does.
Yeah, and I'm sure people would probably say that, hey, that barrier did its job. It stopped him from going completely through, but what I'm looking at, the bigger issue is with this fire, let's just say it stops him dead in there, but what if the whole car goes upside down and he can't get out and he's on fire? Then we have a major, because as we talked about it before, he was in that. I counted the seconds when they kept showing the replay. He was in there for a solid 20 seconds while that fire was going.
Right.
And that's why his visor were melted. I mean, they've taken safety measures all the way down to the shoes. They're wearing so many layers of, Nomex and all this other stuff to protect them. But even the helmets are made as fireproof as they can get them. And his visor was melted.
Right.
I mean, that has got to be a scary thing to think about, being stuck. But, I mean, thank God for the Halo system. But, I mean, like we said, the barrier did its job, but what if he was upside down? I mean, that's... Yeah. I mean, credit to the medical car that follows behind on the first lap. He was lucky
on that one.
Dr. Ian Roberts and driver Alan Vander Merwe is how his last name is said. It's spelled Merwe, but it's Merv. Merv. So, credit to them, because Dr. Ian Roberts was out immediately, and he was looking for him, and, he saw him, and he went right up to the flames, even though right as they were starting to try and get some of those flames knocked back. But, he was... Credit to him for getting as close as he could there, because, I'm sure it was hot as hell.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee you it was, and you and I both know it was.
Yeah. So, and he didn't have complete protection, but, he got in there, and he saw Grosjean. The video that came out that was from right across the track showing all those flames, I couldn't even see Grosjean until he started to move up. You can't see where the heck this guy is at. So, credit to them. Grosjean jumped out, and he was, doing that with his hands, and he only suffered some burns on his hands, which is good. But still, burns on his hands, he's not racing next week. So
again, we said it here right now. Formula One, you got a mulligan.
Yeah.
You didn't lose a driver to a scary accident. We're not doing a tribute show. Okay, let's learn from this and move on. Get rid of the guardrails. Yep.
Formula One, as drivers have talked about, they've talked about safety for the last 2 days now. The Halo system worked great. Yes, this and that. Formula One, all your safety is working well. Everything worked great, but now you have something else you have to learn from.
You have to look at the track.
Where no series is perfect on any kind of safety. We're always learning every day, and this is your new learning curve.
And this is a time for Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, all the big names of the sport to say, yeah, the Halo system worked great. Now we got to look at the track safety features, the walls, what's catching us? Do we need to push everything back and make gravel pits there?
Right.
Or everywhere on the track, and prevent this from happening, prevent a car from getting stuck into a position where, a few inches, a few centimeters, a few degrees of turn and roll in that car could prevent a driver in a similar situation from getting out of that situation like Romain Grosjean luckily did.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're also going to look at the car to see, it's going to be a little bit. They're going to have to do some investigating on it, but they're definitely going to probably be looking at the car to see what possibly ignited that. And they were talking about maybe it was the battery pack that was so hot under the car that may have ignited on impact. If it's ripping a fuel line, because I know that the battery pack is it's seated almost just right under the driver, actually, because in a Formula One car, I found out that drivers are the absolute lowest you can go to
Yeah.
in the car. An article I read said if you want to kind of get close enough to what it's like to sit in a Formula One car, sit in your bathtub and then have your feet almost kind of up near the faucet.
Right.
That's what it kind of almost is. So scary thing. It's scary to think, but at the same time, the safety has come such a far way in Formula One.
And it was really no one's fault. If we go back to the accident, Roman made a correction to avoid Raikkonen from what it looked like, and he just got into Kvyat.
Yeah, and a lot of
it was just one of those things. It's like, okay, well, Kvyat didn't bump Grosjean into the wall.
I mean, if anything, looking from Kvyat's point of view, Grosjean just came out of nowhere. I mean, we saw that they were coming up on some slower traffic because Raikkonen's probably coming back over, and everybody's still trying to get things.
Bottlenecked everything.
I mean, Grosjean just came out of nowhere.
And he just turned hard right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what your instincts are. And, I really wish I would have taken the screenshot because it kind of could have been almost like a Hey-Man segment, but I would have really chewed this guy out. There was a guy that commented on an article talking about the crash, and he said, well, Grosjean is always known for doing these idiotic, the way he drives and everything like that. He shouldn't be driving anyways. It's his fault. And I was just like, and someone was like, did you even watch the race? And I would have laid into this guy.
Well, I mean, in all fairness to that guy, Grosjean put himself in that position. I'm just going to say, he put himself in that position. Did he mean to? No, no one means to drive into the wall at 130 miles an hour and catch on fire. But he reacted, and those cars are going fast, and those steering wheels are, I'm sure, way more sensitive than NASCAR steering wheels where you turn it and you're going.
Yeah, you're making
On top of that, he made contact with Kvyat, which didn't help his situation at all. It was just one of those racing incidences, man. That's all it was.
It's just a racing incident where you're making up a decision in less than probably half a second. I mean your mind is going that like, hey, you see slow traffic, I gotta move real quick.
Yeah.
Or else I'm gonna run right into the back of somebody else, and well, we're all gonna be hating each other or mad at each other somehow for ending each other's days.
But man, thank God Roman's okay. I mean, that was scary, but I think it's just the realistic, real world scenario of that car held up.
Yeah,
it really
did its job, and I mean, like I said, kudos to Formula One with the safety that they have come out with in years past. It's really good to see. It was really cool to see when I had learned. Like I said, I know nothing about this whole safety cell thing before that they had in place, where the side skirts and everything on the car and a heavy impact is supposed to tear apart, but this center of the car is almost virtually indestructible.
Yeah, and it looked like it held up just fine.
Yeah,
with the impact.
Yep, it looked just like a picture I had seen before you put a whole body of a Formula One car around it. It looks just like that.
Yep, and
it did its job. So, like we said, good on him that he get. But man, how about we talk about Lance Stroll?
Yeah, Lance Stroll was another Kvyat contact, but at the same time, he just went turtle. Everything did its job.
The Halo system did its job, and he's able to get out.
He took a little ride, but man, yeah, and that was lap 3. That was after the red flag. They came around, took another lap, and then on lap 3, he just goes up and over. And man, I tell you,
Kvyat got a 10-second penalty for that too.
I don't see why. It was a racing incident.
Well,
he had the corner. Well, why would he have a 10-second penalty? No.
I am going to debate it a little bit here.
We're gonna debate it. He had the inside line. He had the inside track going into there. Who was it? Stroll?
Yes.
Stroll came down on him and hit him.
Well, Stroll was in the actual racing line, and Kvyat was making a move. I can see Kvyat making a move,
that was
but
his corner.
he made it too late because he was way on the inside.
No, he wasn't.
This corner was a tight corner.
He was within track limits, and Stroll came down on him. I'm standing by Kvyat on that one. Team Kvyat right here.
I'm going to go with Stroll on that one.
No, there's no way. Stroll put himself in that position and made him go turtle.
I mean, I don't know.
No, he did.
There was Kvyat had a chance because it looked like he was going to have a chance, but Stroll was in the actual racing line, and he was taking the apex like it should be, and Kvyat was there, and I mean, hey.
No. That's not the way racing works, and you know it as well as I know it as well. All of our people listening to this show know it. You see a hole, you go for it.
But Formula One cars aren't designed to hit each other like that.
Well, then Stroll shouldn't have come down on Kvyat like that. Lance Stroll shouldn't have come down and cut the corner. He cut the corner. He knew somebody was there. He could look in his mirror. I know he knows he was there because Formula One drivers have the sixth sense of seeing what's around them at all times. He knew he was there. He went to go block Kvyat. Kvyat said, I'm not having it. And Stroll wrecked himself.
Well, Kvyat didn't want to talk about it after the race.
Now, let me hear your point of view. Tell me what Kvyat did wrong in that situation. And I don't want to hear, you know what, you can say whatever you want. Go ahead and make your case.
I just think that when I went back and looked at it over and over again, I mean, Stroll has got Vettel right behind him. And they're racing the same line.
What's Vettel have to do with anything?
But they're racing the same line. Kvyat is on the inside of Vettel, but Kvyat saw an opportunity. But the way that corner is set up, it's a tight corner, and they're all racing they're all turning the apex like they should. Kvyat thought he had something there, but what if I was in Kvyat's situation, I would have thought, oh yeah, I'm probably going to make a move, but then at the last second, I'm going to realize, oh crap, I shouldn't be down here like this because it's a tight corner. Everybody is taking the apex the same way. Kvyat's all the way on the inside. And he thought that he was going to be able to take the position, and he didn't. I mean, he should have yeah, it's a split-second decision, but, I mean, he got down there, and he should have realized, I mean, it was probably already too late. He was probably like, you know what, I'm going for it anyways. I know that this is going to end bad, but I'm going to do it anyways. And he was...
So it was Stroll's fault.
No, I think I stand by Stroll on this one. I think Kvyat deserved. Okay, I don't think Kvyat deserved. I don't think Kvyat deserved a 10-second penalty, maybe a 5-second penalty.
He didn't deserve any penalty. See, here's what's wrong, and now we're going to go back to why the FIA and Formula One is not fun. That was good racing at the start of the race. I mean, it's, like we said, it was status quo after lap 3. After that safety car, it was just all Hamilton all day. But the Formula One penalizes people. And penalizes, I think, the wrong driver. The driver who was at fault took himself out. That's the way I see it. Kvyat did nothing wrong. He was within the racing surface, going for a position on a car on the same lap as him. There's nothing wrong with that. Let him race. But no, the FIA says, "Oh, that was your fault." What did Kvyat rightfully? What did I do? I was holding my line.
I think if Kvyat would have come back a little bit higher before going into the turn, then maybe so. No. But he was so deep in that corner on the inside.
I'm going to disagree with you that from now until the time we go away from this world into the next, because I do not see how that was in any way Kvyat's fault. That was 100% Stroll's fault.
Well, here, how about I say this? Maybe Kvyat didn't deserve a penalty in general.
No, he didn't. That was a racing incident.
I think that
either way.
I think that it was Kvyat that. It was probably his fault.
No,
I'm going to say it was his fault.
Was not one. It was 100% not Kvyat's fault. It was Stroll's fault. Stroll took himself out of the race because he was impatient, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Because Stroll just lost points in my book. Blaming that on Kvyat, you don't do that. You don't blame your mistake on another driver.
I mean, I can see that. I think Kvyat was way too deep in that.
Kvyat was on the racing track going for a position.
Well, he was on the racing track, but it's just too. Like I said, he was on the inside way too. He was too deep.
Okay, well then define me this. Define on a racetrack, and I'll even draw it out for you if you want. Define on a racetrack what's too deep in the corner and what's not.
Well, I'm just saying that you had the way the racing, how wide it was, probably wide enough to fit 3 cars, but the corner that they were going into was so tight that you have to take a wide angle and apex and cut that corner as best as you can. And Kvyat's, so I'm saying that Stroll's out here and Kvyat's way down here. I mean, he's got to make this turn, and I mean, Kvyat's going to have to turn the car way to the right more than Stroll's going to have to.
Okay, so what's the problem?
I'm saying that Kvyat was too deep is what it is. No. He was going for a position that wasn't there.
Fine, we'll take this into a NASCAR term because a majority of our fans, I'm sure, can relate more to NASCAR than Formula One. Go into the corner, let's say at a tight corner, off the top of my head, it's a hairpin at Sears Point or at Sonoma. Mm-hmm. There is no out of bounds there except the kind of middle part. You have to stay out of that middle part, or else you have to do a stop and go.
Right.
Stop and go. We'll say Jeff Gordon, one of the best road course racers of all time, has the inside track and Tony Stewart's on the outside. Mm. If Tony Stewart has to run on the outside, cuts down on Jeff Gordon, who is on the track limits, and yeah, it's not as tight as that corner. I know what you're talking about. It's going downhill and sweeping.
Right.
But if Tony Stewart cuts down on Jeff Gordon's left front fender, in this case, in Formula One's case, left front wheel, with his right rear fender, in Stroll's case, right rear wheel, who's at fault? if Tony Stewart or Lance Stroll in this case spins.
Well,
no, come on, Preston.
We're gonna get technical here. I have to get technical with it. It's because stock cars are built for that kind of beating and banging is the problem. So what the problem is that with Formula One, when tires touch, a car is gonna get airborne somehow. And now I know you're talking.
Please, no.
And I know you're talking. I know the corner that you're talking about at Sears Point, Infineon, whatever you want to call it.
And you can insert any track in that scenario, and it will still be the same. The driver who comes down on the other driver who has position on the turn is at fault.
But also in Formula One, there are also track limits. And what happened was
he was not exceeding track limits.
But Kvyat hit him and ended up going over all the rumble strips and even running over the cone that was there.
No, because he got forced down there by Stroll. He wasn't going out there willingly. He wasn't going to hit that cone unless Stroll hit him. Oh my gosh, this turned into from Romain Grosjean and how tragic that was to this whole debate. I didn't know this lap 3 accident was going to cause this much of a debate, but you know what? I'm glad it is because you're 100% wrong.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you are. You are 100% wrong because
maybe I need to go back and watch the replays.
It is a racing incident in which the driver who
I know it's a racing incident.
It was in which the driver who was at fault got turned over and took himself out of the race. Yes.
50-50, both their faults.
No, it is not both their faults. It's usually the driver who cuts down on the other driver. You can go anywhere.
I don't know. I guess I'm only like I said, I'm defending Stroll because like I said, it's the way the corner was set up. You have to sweep wide, and Kvyat's trying to run in there low, and he's gonna have to turn the wheel way more than Stroll's having to. And I mean, at some point you have to realize when you get down there that like, oh crap, maybe I should have just backed off because it was okay. Let's just say it was bound to happen.
Oh, okay, so you're going to tell a race car driver who's in a very high-powered vehicle, in a high-performance vehicle, in a high-intensity sport like Formula One to say, just back off. You're going to tell Tony Stewart to just back off.
Well, no, I'm not saying back off.
That's exactly what you're saying. What you're saying is you need to tell these drivers to put a little, whoa, don't go too crazy into the corner.
I'm not saying don't go crazy. I'm just saying that he probably maybe. It's kind of hard to realize in that split-second situation.
Preston, I've known you long enough to know that you know what's right and wrong, and Lance Stroll was 100% wrong in that accident. Kvyat did nothing wrong, and I know you know that.
I don't. Maybe, like I said, maybe I need to go back and watch it a couple more times. I don't know.
Preston, you already explained to me why it was Stroll's fault.
Hang on. Let me go to Instagram real quick because I did save the video.
Okay.
And let me watch it. Let's.
Let me watch it with you. Okay, yeah. Stroll went top over because he ran into Kvyat.
Let's see. I needed to replay again. I have to watch it again.
All right, let's watch this again. And there's him cutting onto. Yep, he forced him onto the rumble strips, and Stroll took himself out. Tell me that he's not. Tell me that that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's close to that, but I'm still not gonna sell that. It's completely Stroll's fault. I mean,
it is completely Stroll's fault. I guarantee you it's 100% Stroll's fault because, look, I'm going to look at it right now. He cut.
But see, in this angle, he can't.
But look at this angle. He forced him off the track. The only reason. Okay, this is a better angle from Vettel.
See, Kvyat's kind of low there.
Oh,
see, Stroll is racing the line a little bit, though.
Stroll's trying to avoid him. That's why. See, this would all be alleviated if Formula One had spotters inside. He's there.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that. Yeah, there might. You have your mirrors, but at that point, I'm sure Stroll's not really looking at the mirror anymore. He's got to He's got to turn. I don't know. I'm just gonna say racing incident. Yeah. It could go either way. I'll just put it at that. It could go either way. I'm not gonna say one person's wrong. I'm not gonna blame it on just one person. It could go both ways.
We've talked this long in the marbles about one incident in one action on track because I've never talked this long about any type of accident.
I guess and who's at fault. I think it could go both ways. I think people could defend it both ways. Honestly,
no, it's Stroll's fault. That's my opinion. But what do I know? I'm the NASCAR guy.
What do you know? What do we know? We're just a bunch of podcast guys, anyways. We don't race.
Enthusiastic amateurs.
Yeah, disclaimer.
We are enthusiastic amateurs hoping to make it big one day.
That race on computers and Xboxes.
That's right. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's run this by you before we go further into this. If you would have done this, if somebody would have done that to you, if you were in Kvyat's seat and somebody did that to you on Xbox, whose fault is it? You're gonna naturally
I don't know.
It was the other person's fault.
If I'm in Kvyat's seat, if I was Kvyat,
if you were racing Formula One on Xbox and somebody did the same thing that Stroll did to Kvyat, and you were Kvyat,
I'll be honest with you. If I'm Kvyat, I would be looking ahead and I would be just giving the corner to that guy. Honestly, in my opinion, I'm not saying it to defend myself. I really am. If I was Kvyat at that point, I would be giving that guy the corner because I know that I can't set it up there.
If I did that on iRacing, the first thing I would do is key up my mic and say, "My bad. That was my fault. I cut you off. I did that to myself. I did that to me." And everybody in the lobby would be judge, jury, and executioner. It was the number 14 car. It was this guy, Beamer's car. It was Beamer's car because I've had that happen many times. It's like, that was me. It's like, no kidding, it was you. Trust me, man. I mean, I think that was Stroll all day.
I mean, I've gotten roasted before in the qualifying session on Xbox before, but I mean, somebody was wrecking in front of me and somebody was on their flying lap and I had to swerve at the last second, and they were just like, "Oh, what did you do? That was my flying lap." I was like, "Well, did you not see the accident that was coming up in the second sector?" And he's like, "There's no accident there." And I was like, "Okay, dude, whatever you say, buddy." I was like, "It's right there. There's two cars crashing right there." So, I don't know. Like I said, if I'm Kvyat on a game, I'm telling you the truth 100%. I would be letting the other driver get that corner, and I'll just have to set up for another one because I would have to realize that if I don't have enough space, I'm just gonna have to back off with the way that corner is set up.
Right. It was a very interesting scenario there run by Formula One, and I don't think Kvyat. I think Kvyat got the raw end of the deal. I think
a 10-second penalty was probably way too much to begin with. Honestly.
Yeah. If I was just stewards in that race, oh yeah, not a racing incident. Let him go. Because there's no way I would penalize a guy for him being an innocent bystander.
Okay,
that's just me.
I can get out with that. I respect that. I respect your
thank
opinion.
you. I appreciate the fact that you respect my opinion. But man, the rest of the race went on. Lewis Hamilton won the race just in dominating fashion. And no surprise there. Like I said, after lap 3 in that second safety car, after the long red flag, it was status quo. In Formula One.
Hamilton, Verstappen second, Albon third.
Fifth win in a row, I believe. And congratulations to Albon scoring that podium. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, I think that had in part to do with Sergio Perez and his failed engine near the end, which is a shame.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame, too.
Talking about that. The little rooster tail just spinning.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's...
And the commentators were just like, just cut the car off. Just cut it off already. Pull over and cut it off.
Yeah, that's... Racing Point didn't have a good day, did they?
No, they did not. But hey, such is such. That it happens. Races happen like that. So
yeah. Well, we got when's the next Formula One race coming up here?
That is coming up this weekend at Bahrain again.
At 9:05 a.m. or 9:05
I think it will be. Hang on. Let me double check. I know it's called the Sakir, if I believe correctly. I can't even pronounce it. Races half the time around here. The Formula One Rolex Sakir Grand Prix 2020. The race, no.
It's at 12:10
p.m. Eastern Time.
And that's going to be on ESPN.
Yeah.
So is it going to be a day race and not a night race?
Yes, and this is the same Bahrain circuit, but they're going to be racing what's called the outer track. So you'll have the same turns 1, 2, and 3, and then when you come down to turn 4, you'll go past turn 4, and then you go a little bit further, and then they'll have turn 4 is a little bit further, so you'll have 11 turns in total. I'm trying to see it because you can't zoom in on this app anyways. But yeah, so the outer circuit, so it's going to be kind of some S's on the back end of the track, but then when they come back to what it looks like turn 9, I think that's the usual when you come back into the regular track.
And I'm going to make a prediction here.
You might want to think real hard on this one.
I'm going to think who might win the pole. We'll start off with qualifying. Hamilton. I'm going to. I see 44. Hamilton's going to win the pole. Okay, who's going to win the race? Hamilton. Who's going to finish second? Bottas. And who's going to finish third? Verstappen. A Red Bull. We'll just say Red Bull.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of safe to say.
I'm not going to lie. When you said, "Oh my God," when you texted me,
you thought. I bet you thought it was Lewis Hamilton.
I thought Lewis
crashing.
Hamilton got taken out. I was like, "Oh man, I don't want this ruined. Let me watch it."
When I had texted you that, and you texted me back saying, "If it's about the race, I don't want to know," I knew immediately. In my mind, I was like, "Oh, Matt must be thinking I'm talking about Lewis Hamilton getting taken out right now."
I thought Lewis Hamilton got taken out on lap 1, turn 1.
And I was just like, "Oh man, I really want to tell Matt so bad that is not it. We have a very serious problem on our hands."
You wanted to tell Matt it's not about Hamilton.
We have a very serious problem.
Man, but yeah, that was and so that's the upcoming race, a different time.
Yeah, different time on Sunday, which
12:10.
I guess kind of interesting. Almost kind of throwing it back to the old NASCAR days when they used to start races around 12 and 1 o'clock, right after you get out of church, and you're just looking forward to going home. And
that's right, watch some racing, man. But that's going to be happening this weekend. And you have anything else with the Formula One race from Bahrain this weekend?
Nope, 2 races to go, and
well, yeah, two races to go.
Races to go. So we'll see.
Because there's no way. I mean, it's.
Yeah, like I said before, the only fight right now is just third in the constructor standings.
And who cares about that?
I guess some teams think it's important still. I mean, even if they're not going to
probably a couple $1 million on the line right there.
There could be. I guess maybe that would be something to look up next time around to find out if there's what's at stakes for finishing 1, 2, and 3 in the constructors. Because I know that when it comes down to it, I read an article where it said what's the difference between NASCAR and Formula One, and Formula One is more all about speed, and the people behind the scenes are the ones that are always wanting to get more out of the edge because it means more to them knowing that they made the faster car. So, we'll see. Maybe I need to look it up one day.
Yeah, we will. But right now, man, that was our Formula One weekend review, and now we are getting ready for Kyle Summers to come on. And Kyle.
Hey race fans, I'm Preston from In the Marbles. Like what you just watched, be sure to hit the subscribe button below. And if you're looking for more content, you can find some videos right here to the left of me.